Good afternoon. I'm Jakub Šimek, and I wrote an article called The Velvet Revolution 2.0, where I discuss the recent re-election of Donald Trump, and I compare these events to Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia that was an unviolent and peaceful way of overthrowing a socialist regime there. Velvet Revolution 2.0 is about free speech, free enterprise, and free technologies, including AI, crypto, and social. In the US, we saw the unmanaged decline over many years that kind of accelerated in the last 4 years. So we went from blobocracy into idiocracy, and the emperor was naked. He wasn't even there mentally, right? So I start with Balaji quote from 2019, where he says that social media is American glasnost and cryptocurrency is American perestroika. So, and I would adjust this quote for today's age, where I would say that the purchase of Twitter by Elon Musk is American glasnost, so it's like a free speech reform under Gorbachev, right? And the freeing up of AI and crypto under Trump 2.0 will be American perestroika. So a kind of market reform. And so glasnost and perestroika in the former USSR were the reforms that kind of undid the whole Soviet Empire, right? So I argue that actually crypto is already doing inroads, especially stable coins and Bitcoin in places like El Salvador. And what we see with Milei in Argentina is also something that is an inspiration for Doge, for Department of Government Efficiency under Elon and Vivek. And so I think this what we will see is something like FDR 2.0, but the history is repeating, but it's kind of going in the opposite direction. So it's like says Balaji, right? So the history repeats but doesn't rhyme, but in this way the history is going in reverse. So with FDR we saw the rise of the permanent bureaucracy, what sometimes it's called the deep state. The original term comes from Turkey, right? But the permanent administrative state and security state, the blob as people say. So the FDR saw many agencies were built under FDR, and FDR actually managed also like the Manhattan Project. The government was really strong back then, and it was very centralized. But now the government or the Gov is dead instead of God is dead. So the Gov is dead. So they can't ship. They spend like 42 billion, in the US, and they can't connect a single home to the internet, a single rural home to the internet. It's like 4 times what was invested in SpaceX. So imagine like how many Starlink companies or SpaceX companies or Starlink services could be done by private sector if the size of the government is reduced, right? So the FDR 2.0 will actually be like a reverse FDR. So Trump might reverse the permanent bureaucracy state and reduce it significantly, and actually improve the services and the quality of life at the same time. I argue in the article that the blue tribe is in a sad state because it can only do half measures in censorship, political violence, persecutions, and propaganda. We are all Soviets now, says Neil Ferguson, and he might be too generous. Because I've said for many years that blue blobocracy turned idiocracy will soon have a worse reputation than communists did after the fall of the Berlin Wall, and I say it as a child of political prisoners. My parents were political prisoners in 1970s Czechoslovakia. So communism had many flaws. You can read Black Book of Communism for that, but they were at least pro-technology. They could build infrastructure and keep streets safe and clean. So the new authoritarian left actually can't do that. They can't build. They can only deconstruct and destruct. So, and actually the prominent brand of communism today is Chinese communism, and actually it's a kind of it's kind of marketing of communism, but they are run on a back end that is in fact turbo capitalism after Deng Xiaoping reform. Deng got inspired by Singapore's Lee Kuan Yew, and he actually turned around China through special economic zones. So just to give you a quick example, so we have China has like over 100 EV makers. They have 430 EV brands. They built 4,000 or over 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. Yeah, they are basically ahead in many industries. Where they lag is commercial aviation, but they will catch up maybe in the next 5 or 10 years. So in the West, actually, what is our comparative advantage? And I argue our only comparative advantage in the West is free speech. It's basically free society. But if you look at Scotland, they are going the other way. They are reversing course. Scotland, the place where the Enlightenment started, they are enacting harsh hate speech laws, which are punishing any dissent, and actually what we see in the West is anarcho-tyranny, like in Venezuela. So it's like it's actually worse than tyranny, because it's the opposite of smart regulator. Smart regulator has a very low false positive and false negative ratios, and dumb regulator or anarcho-tyranny actually goes after victims and lets criminals roam free. So you see in the UK under the current administration, it's very sad. And basically, I argue that in the West we had the dream of getting to Denmark. It was like the Fukuyama's dream of combining social democracy with global commerce. And now internet increases variance, as Balaji say. So we see actually three dreams in today. So we have getting to Venezuela for the blue tribe, getting to Dubai for the red tribe, and getting to Mars for gray tribe. So with the recent re-election of Trump, we actually saw a merger of the gray tribe, the techno optimists under Elon, right? And with Bitcoin as the flag of technology, and a red tribe, like if you imagine the Texas kind of conservatives, and also like kind of pro-business people that are for clean streets, safe streets, big families, big business, small business. I call it getting to Dubai because it sounds like getting to Denmark, but it could be getting to Singapore, getting to El Salvador today, or getting to Argentina maybe soon. So actually under Biden administration, industry has suffered tremendously. It wasn't just crypto or AI, but it was even like energy. The energy sector got also similar treatment to crypto with choke point, the Operation Choke Point 2.0. And at the end of my piece, I argued that actually we could see an alternative to MAGA and Build Back Better, which kind of sounds similar, right? As I said, blue tribe or the blobocracy turned idiocracy, they can't build, they can only destruct and deconstruct. But MAGA is also not straightforward because we can't get back to the 1950s America. It was a special period where all the rest of the world was bombed out after the World War II. So you could have like a single income family of high school educated people working at factories, and maybe we could return to that, but it would be also like it would be different. You need like high levels of automation, and I argue for an alternative called the DDD, or drones, dark factories, and deurbanization, using Starlink, using AI, using automation and robotics, using the moral innovation of remote work. We can actually do something different, right? So this is like deregulation, decentralization, de-bureaucratization, but made more concretely, right? So with drones, meaning also AI and automation, you can do de-bureaucratization. You need much less people, especially bureaucrats, especially people with no skin in the game, some kind of middle managers or midwits or something like that, right? So, and with dark factories, that's kind of a concrete example, like concrete optimistic or definite optimistic vision of the future, kind of quoting Peter Thiel here and his distinction between indefinite vision of the future and definite vision of the future, and optimistic and pessimistic vision of the future. So like DDD, or drones, dark factories, and deurbanization is a definite and optimistic vision of the future. Deurbanization might be the most controversial, but it's actually it means a way to actually get to stop the population decline. At least that's what I argue, or I think, because if you look at South Korea, China, Europe, US, many places all around the world, they don't share the same cultures, right? They have very different cultures, but what they share is the population decline. So, but they also share urbanization, right? The rapid urbanization over the last century, last decades. So can it be reversed somehow? I think with technology it can. Technologies can make many small communities much more viable, much more productive. You can, like with AI, you need like 10x or 100x less people to produce the same output. And if you combine it with Starlink, with other technologies, something that Balaji calls techno-democracy, like some kind of market for votes, and some kind of like smart contracts, but like smart social contract, if you may. So on dark factories, it's basically fully automated factories that don't require lights. So they can be put underground, they can be put in rural settings, and this is the alternative of degrowth, right? So instead of degrowth, we want to do darker growth. So like growth that it's maybe underground, that it's like it kind of sounds lunar punk, but it's not just lunar punk. It can be actually also done by top down, or like with some kind of smart government or municipality or local government support. So politics doesn't scale, right? You can be communist within a larger family, but it doesn't scale much, as we've seen in the history. But technology does scale. So Balaji has a section in his book, The Network State, discussing this aspect of like China can make a pencil. That's the title of the chapter. And it's basically kind of arguing that with AI, actually they can automate a lot of things, and they can actually do like kind of central planning with AI. And I take this idea, but like I apply to very small scale communes and communities that are successful, like kibbutzim, and actually argue that okay, maybe with technology we can make them like 10x more productive or 10x larger. So like imagine like couple like basically Dunbar scale communities now that they can be much more self-sufficient than before. So I think it's possible, and this is like the what I call dark dynamism. Referring to American dynamism, or I've written before about Afro-European dynamism, post-American dynamism, so dark dynamism. So I think that's the name. And I conclude the article with something that even Democrats could see a turnaround. I call it like Dems Deng, or like Democratic Deng, like Deng Xiaoping. So maybe even Newsom in California will do 180, and they will, or he will embrace something like what the inspiration of Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, that yeah, making streets safe and clean, it's actually not bad. He managed to do it for 2 days when Xi Jinping came over to San Francisco. So I think he can extend it like this pop-up experiment. He can extend maybe for a week or for a month, and then maybe for a couple of years. And I think this is the way how Democrats can actually win hearts and minds again. So actually, you could even have like a blue Deng or Democratic Deng kind of reform that actually is pro-business, is YIMBY or HIMBY, as Balaji would say, like horizontal, yes, in my background, kind of building new technologies and allowing people, especially startup tech founders and entrepreneurs, to flourish, but also like big families to flourish, and like everyone, internet increases variance, as I said, so there are many different lifestyles, from 996 to, I don't know, laid back big families to people who actually value, let's say, like some work-life balance. So, but I think El Salvador and Argentina, combined with Singapore, that's like kind of the recipe for success, even for Democrats. And for Republicans, as I said, it's getting to Dubai, and for the great tribe, for the techno-optimists, it's getting to Mars. And I think you need to reform the government, and especially like such a big, huge players as the US, to actually get to Mars. So thank you for your attention. Take care.